Well, guys, what is going on? Welcome to my special top 10 live stream special of the week. This is the Club of the Man 1993, and we are here live for my special stream of the week. So, the topic that I chose for this week, I was between two. There was one that my good friend out here, Tyler Hodder, suggested WWE Best and Worst Champions. Unfortunately, I have not been able to put together a solid, concrete list yet for that one that I am positive about. So I will delay that one till next week. This week, I am going to do a list that I have, come up with that I've been wanting to do for a while. Because obviously, ranting on, some of the choices that WWE comes up with, just the lazy creativity. Again, revealed in this. Well, I should say reveal, but seemingly to giving the fans some more sympathy on the creative team, knowing that most of the time everything is Vince basically, and obviously this show feels like at times it is made for an audience of one, which is Vince McMahon himself. And obviously, he has a thing to say in some of these names. Now, I've always ranted like well, not just rant, but as a guy who works in video production in real life, you want to be creative, you want to be eye catching, you don't want to sound like this is something that just like anybody can make up. Like you can come up with like a simple name, but it has to have a concept behind it, like a reason behind it. What is this? Like how would this draw in viewers? Basically, like if I'm going to name a pay-per-view, Big Show or something like that. Why is it Big Show? You're trying to hype it up as something big, like some big moment of the year is supposed to happen. But if it's just going to feel just like a regular Raw or SmackDown, then why hype it up as Big Show, basically, if you know what I mean. But so there's definitely been several names that WWE used over the years that, are good. Well, most of the pay-per-views we get more are just all right. But some, are ones that I can't stand. I go just bad, sound just terrible, just too basic, just bland and whatnot. So we're going to talk about those. Now, I'm going to go with usually I give my viewers the choice of which one to do first. I'm going to do the best ones this week because the worst ones I feel like, have more to say about. And if I do the worst ones first and burn all those out, now I'm going to be just like flying through because the best list, I don't think I'm going to be talking about too much because, basically just, mostly the same things answer for most of them as to why I put them on my top 10 list. But of course, we'll do the best first, and let's check the live chat. And also, as I mentioned in my description, I'm going to do a baseball stream later on today. Talk about some baseball as well, because I haven't done so in a while. And I wanted to do one like once a month, like after, each month, talk about, what's going on this season, but I didn't get to whenever April ended. So I have another one in mind that I'm going to do again, just for me to bring some more baseball back into my channel. But let's check the live chat and see what we got here. We've got Tyler, Jay, and Mark. What's up, Mark? Good to have you back, man. I haven't seen you back here for a while. Tyler said a worse name is WCW New Blood Rising. I didn't use any WCW or ECW names, unfortunately, again, because I haven't really watched any WCW or ECW. So I didn't use those, but you feel free to leave those as well. Blood Rising is strange. Stomping Grounds, oh goodness. Yeah. Jay says all gimmick pay-per-views. And also Mark says the greatest Royal Rumble. The greatest Royal Rumble. Roadblock was the worst for Mark. The best name, No Mercy and Bad Blood. That's what Mark says also. Great Balls of Fire was a terrible name, but the pay-per-view itself was good. People saying Backlash, and of course, WrestleMania is under best as well for Mark as well. But thank you guys for your for some of your best and worst names. We will start with the best. Again, I feel like the worst ones are yet to come. And again, these are being judged on, what, not just the name also, but the concept behind it. Like some of these pay-per-views that may have been good that I may mention. But then again, just like, the lazy, just again, present image means something. Like, yes, the way you present yourself is going to attract more attention. Well, if that makes any sense. I don't know where the heck I'm going with this. I feel like I'm about to go from, wrestling, creative to, like relationship or, bonding. I don't know. It was getting strange. But let's just step back here. let's stay on the positive side to start off here. And let's talk about my top 10 best pay-per-view names WWE has used. WWE, almost okay, WWE has used. So let's get rolling here with the top 10 best. My number 10, Backlash. There's a cool name, I feel, for sure, for pay-per-view. I mean, I'm disappointed we're not going to be getting, well, the pay-per-view called Backlash this year. I mean, last year's Backlash sucked. But, I feel like, WWE also needs to structure their pay-per-views kind of in like an order where it's like, the names kind of fit. I feel like, a show like Backlash, yeah, you can have like, or Backlash, like, Payback or whatnot. Like, those are shows that feel like, it's a show that should be featuring some rematches. Well, not completely, but could be, a show, that, features people getting like more comeuppance. Backlash is kind of like, you're going to get karma biting back to you in some ways or something like that. It's just like, like a deep name, could be used for, the good overcoming the evil, if you want to say that, or even like, if the previous pay-per-view, well, then again, I'm not saying 50-50 booking, kind of going way back here off the line. But basically what I'm saying is like, sometimes structuring the pay-per-views in order, like, as you would want, like, if like a pay-per-view is going to feature, more, like rematches or, big time match that, the heel gotten the cup, has gotten the upper hand on the face how many times, now it's time to turn the baby face to get the cup on them. Then, a pay-per-view like Backlash, like, Payback, that would happen. Like, Extreme Rules, wouldn't be a pay-per-view immediately after, like a show we're starting off like a fresh new, era of like, new feuds and whatnot, because, to be real, most pay-per-view, most gimmick matches are meant for like, blow-off matches and whatnot, unless it's a feud that's meant to have multiple gimmick matches to it. But of course, that's one reason why I chose Backlash and why most of these pay-per-views on my list is my number 10. So number 10 is Backlash. Number 9, No Mercy. Sounds a little bit, on the basic side, but, for like a wrestling show, I think it definitely fits in some ways. I know there's not really any like, because some pay-per-views, have like a match that's usually done at that pay-per-view, whether it is a gimmick match pay-per-view or not. Such as like, when W used to have Over the Limit. Over the Limit would always at least have an I Quit match involved. I believe they would, which I thought that that fit, Over the Limit. Of course, there was Breaking Point in 2009, but that was basically like a submission match type pay-per-view, and it didn't really get too many buys and whatnot. No Mercy, could fit either Hell in a Cell or maybe another name on this list also, for like Hell in a Cell, based off of, because what you can experience inside the cell. It could be also featured under another name on this list as well that I will mention shortly. But No Mercy, I feel like, it's just like a solid sounding name, I feel, in my opinion. And that's why it is my number 9 on this list, No Mercy. Number 8, Vengeance. Pretty similar to, No Mercy. It's just, just a, I shouldn't say killer sounding pay-per-view, but just like, just like, this just sounds like, I don't know, it just feels like a show involving, violence and whatnot, whether it's, getting your revenge or come up, it's on anything and whatnot. So that's why it's my number 8. And these best ones, there's not really too much to really say as to why, they're great. The worst ones is there's more reasons. But number 8. Number 7, No Way Out. Now, this obviously can be used for almost like any show. I personally think Elimination Chamber should be called No Way Out. I mean, you can kind of make an argument that Hell in a Cell can also be called No Way Out, because, there's no way out. But Hell in a Cell, I feel, is meant for either No Mercy or another thing we're about to get here on this list shortly, because of, the atmosphere inside Hell in a Cell, basically. Like Elimination Chamber, like a show with like involving steel cage matches, which again, you gotta be careful. Which of course, actually, I'll stop right there with that. I will say that for a rant on one of them in my top 10 worst. When we get to that list shortly here. But I feel like, like No Way Out will be fitting for like, like Elimination Chamber or something like that. there's a lot more people inside, and there's no way to escape basically. So that would make more sense rather than if like a steel cage match or something like that. But I feel like it's a much more fitting sounding name than using certain names for other pay-per-views that we'll talk about later on and whatnot. And I just think it's just it's simple to the point, but it doesn't sound like it doesn't sound like it's like a joke of a show. But that's my number 7, No Way Out. The day that not the day. I said day because there's one not now, but coming up later on that I would like to see here because I just like the sound of it. Number 6. This actually I would substitute Hell in a Cell for No Mercy or this Unforgiven. Unforgiven just sounds like you're trapped in some world or something like that you're it's I don't say like no way out, but it's just like you're like in Hell in a Cell, things you will not be forgiven for will basically happen. You're basically being sent to hell, basically going down if you're not going to be forgiven basically for what you have done basically. And this is like the ultimate retribution and whatnot to you as you feel. So like I would have this be like the October show or something. Well, now Hell in a Cell's in September this year because October is going to be what, Clash of Champions or another international show either in Australia or another Crown Jewel special. Oh god, we'll be talking about that name shortly as well. Well, both of them actually, but I just feel like Unforgiven fits more of like like the creepy I say creepy, but aggressive, chaotic, hell scene type structure, if you know what I mean. And that's why Unforgiven is my number 6 on my list. So far we've got number 10 is Backlash, number 9 is No Mercy, number 8 is Vengeance, number 7 is No Way Out, number 6 is Unforgiven. I know I'm kind of rushing these, there's not really much to really say about these. They're good names. And they sound like, for like, a higher up audience and not just for, 10-year-old kid like Nicholas Cone. Oh boy, there's a pay-per-view called The Nicholas Cone Show. Dear Lord, help me. Let me see here. WrestleMania is number 1 for best J claims. Good pay-per-views are a joke. Royal Rumble, honorable mention. I didn't throw Royal Rumble on this list. I felt like if I put Royal Rumble on this list, I'd be feeling a hypocrite because of something. Again, of gimmick pay-per-views, which obviously a gimmick pay-per-view category will be discussed in the worst. But Royal Rumble, I couldn't put on either one on the list because it's kind of like a back and forth thing. But I'll get to that. But it's still an event that's worthwhile. One Night Stand Extreme Rules is best. One Night Stand, yeah, that's a good honorable mention there. One Night Stand for sure. Money in the Bank. I mean, Money in the Bank as a pay-per-view name is, for the, for the occasion, sure. I still kind of feel, it should happen at like, WrestleMania or something like that, I feel. I don't know. I still feel like they should go back to having the Money in the Bank live match WrestleMania. So I guess okay, not completely on like the gimmick side, pay-per-views, something like that, but I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite names. I gotta say they've used like again because they don't have to have the Money in the Bank ladder match at Money in the Bank. They could have just had it like again like WrestleMania or something. Just my opinion though, but not bad. Payback's good. Tables, ladders, and chairs. Mark likes. Tyler says worst Hell in a Cell hurt the match type. Worst is Night of Champions. Best is Rumble. SummerSlam, Survivor Series. Vengeance is a great name for a pay-per-view. By Y2J beat The Rock and Stone Cold in 2001. Worst is WCW Sin. Interesting. Worst bragging rights is basically another name for Survivor Series. We will get to that. No Way Out, Unforgiven, No Mercy, and No Way Out made me sad we can't see them anymore. For sure, me too. Top 10 pay-per-views that should be brought back. Okay, yeah, I'll add that one to my suggestions. Let me see here. Top 10 pay-per-views that should be brought back. I like that one, Mark. Thank you for that suggestion. Mark my words. I will do that. Sorry, Mark. Gotta do that pun here. There's sometimes. That's a good suggestion. Here, let's get back to the top 5 best, and we'll move on to the worst. So I'm sure the worst ones will be more interesting to talk about. And why did I exit out of the notes thing? Anyways, okay, so for top 5 best, number 5 is a day called Judgment Day. I think this is definitely one name I feel WWE should bring back. A show that is supposed to be heroes overcoming the villains and whatnot or whatnot. Like this could really create a different concept in some ways. It's just a much more interesting name for a wrestling show pay-per-view, as I keep saying for most of these. So that's why number 5 is Judgment Day. Number 4 is Armageddon. Armageddon, I think, works because Armageddon was usually, I believe, the December pay-per-view for wrestling. And Armageddon actually means the last battle between good and evil. Strong name, simple concept, and it was the last pay-per-view of the year. Instead, now we either get, tables, ladders, and chairs, or Clash of Champions, or Roadblock End of the Line. Some of these names that are not so great for December pay-per-view shows. But, with that meaning to it, and, just, the advanced sounding of the name, I feel, it's definitely another one I feel the WWE should consider bringing back. And that's Armageddon. That's why that's my number 4 on this list. Once again, Armageddon. Number 3, Bad Blood. A pay-per-view like Extreme Rules, maybe, or something like that, could benefit instead of just having Extreme Rules, calling it maybe Bad Blood or something like that, because you get Extreme for one night, the rules are broken, and it's definitely a lot more interesting, because once again, this could definitely be another show where WWE could plan out long term to have some the biggest rivalries have their final chapter and their big blow off matches at a show like this. And of course, there's rumors of this was supposed to be the July 2017 pay-per-view for Raw. Instead, we got what we got that summer. We'll talk about that later on. I think at first they were going to bring back Bad Blood, but oh no, we can't say blood. We can't say blood. We can't say war. We can't say any of that. Yet again, you have Sami Zayn saying, "See you in hell," and a bunch of other crap happen on TV, and even make suggestions towards the little Oos, and that's all right because that humors Vince. Not, but number 3 again, Bad Blood. I think that would be a great name to definitely bring back also as well. And obviously, number 2 is SummerSlam. It's said, SummerSlam is meant to be, the biggest show of the summer, the second best show of the year for wrestling. Why not give it a title of SummerSlam to basically, I think it's the biggest party in the summer. And, most of the time it's been good. Sometimes, we've had some bad SummerSlams, but, it fits it well. And number 1, WrestleMania. Again, the biggest show of the year taking place in front of, thousands of people. When you have shows like, Greatest Royal Rumble or Super Showdown or Crown Jewel, that you're obviously only just pleasing to get just pleasing again, no offense, but pleasing people just from that part of the world. And, you hype it up as it's going to be one of the biggest events of the year. But most of the time, all you've given is just a glorified house show. A show that it's like a house show that doesn't need to be broadcasted. Instead of trying to do it from thousands of people, but it's it doesn't have that, big stakes feel to it. WrestleMania, for the most part, usually has a big stakes feel to it, where the legends, become immortal and people solidify their names in the history books. And that's why, that pay-per-view, deserves its name of WrestleMania, and not some of these other shows that even the name just gives it overhype, which, of course, we will talk about when we get to the worst top 10 shortly here. But my list for best pay-per-view names. Number 10 is Backlash. Number 9 is No Mercy. Number 8 is Vengeance. Number 7 is No Way Out. Number 6, Unforgiven. Number 5, Judgment Day. Number 4, Armageddon. Number 3 is Bad Blood. Number 2 is WrestleMania. And number 2 is SummerSlam. And number 1, WrestleMania. Let's check the live chat and see what we got here. We were at best is Armageddon, best WCW Starrcade, which is a nice one. What's up, Jalen? Worst is Great Balls of Fire. We'll be talking about that one for sure. And best he thought is One Night Stand, which definitely is an honorable mention for sure. I didn't mention. Does anyone remember when they had a stupid pay-per-view called Fatal? Yeah, we'll talk about that one for sure, Mark. And worst name, Over the Limit. Over the Limit, I thought was decent. A decent name, I thought. I would have been all right with them. You keep continuing to use Over the Limit, especially if they would have, continued the concept of always having an I Quit match there or something, which we haven't seen. When was the last time we've seen an I Quit match? I think, honestly, the last one I can think of off the top of my head is the one with Cedric Alexander and Noam Dar to blow off that terrible feud back in summer of 2017, I believe it was. That's, as far as I know, I think that's the last I Quit match we've seen. Over the Limit I'm okay with, but hey, if you guys don't like it, that's fine with me. But all right, so that's the 10 best. Now let's roll into the 10 worst and see what we got out of this. These of course will be much more interesting to talk about, rather than saying other guys or their bad names, like, or these names sound terrible, or some of these again, just the concept behind them just sucks and it makes no sense. Once again, a name is supposed to be setting a theme, setting the stage. And how are any of these names going to, really set any of them, But let's get rolling here. Let's get started off with number 10. My number 10 is Roadblock End of the Line. Once again, a show that I left that was right here live in Pittsburgh. I left my best friend's Christmas party early to go to this show. And to me, it was, a lot of people said it was the worst pay-per-view of 2016. I wouldn't say it was the absolute worst. It was one of the weakest, but it was just Sunday Night Raw. That's what it was, Sunday Night Raw. But the name itself, let's focus on the name here. So I was fine with having that network special earlier in the year called Roadblock. I mean, it was not advertised as like a pay-per-view, but just like a network special. It was a glorified house show that just belonged in just the network special category, not pay-per-view category. Once again, WWE is overhyping here. So instead of just first off, they should have just not even had 2 pay-per-views in December, because who's going to watch 2 wrestling pay-per-views of all times in December during the holidays? Which is still, I feel, a month that WWE should take off between Survivor Series and January and the beginning of the year, to at least take 1 month off, and then again just show the best of best or something like that during that time. But no. Raw and SmackDown both had to have pay-per-views in December. TLC that year in December was good, but this name, Roadblock, it made sense for like a little, just a little, network special for before WrestleMania. But Roadblock, End of the Line, like, what sense does this show really make? Yeah, it was the end of the year, but it's like, where are we being blocked off from going? It just, there was nothing in this show. I mean, yeah, maybe if you want to say like, Sasha and Charlotte's, match is kind of, the end of like a long-standing rivalry between these two. But once again, it didn't main event the show, so why call it End of the Line? Also, when it was like, it's the end of the line of what? Like, it made no sense. And that's why, to me, my number 10 on this list is Roadblock End of the Line. Once again, a show that I wasted $100 going to. Yeah. Number 9, The Bash. There was the Great American Bash. And I haven't really seen too many of the Great American Bash pay-per-views. I hear the 2004s was pretty bad from what I hear. But the Great American Bash, sounds like an interesting name. Like, it has a nice little ring to it, nice little theme. But then it's just The Bash. just sounds weak, and it sounds like something's missing to it. It just like like what the bash, like it just doesn't flow well for a wrestling show pay-per-view. But the Great American Bash again, I thought was interesting. Hype up, not a too big of an event, but a good event basically, I think. But the Bash, no. That's why that one's my number 9. Number 8, bragging rights. This pay-per-view only existed for 2 years, I believe. It replaced Cyber Sunday, which I was all right with Cyber Sunday. Well, I never really watched any of the Cyber Sundays. Actually, well, I mean, I've taken glimpses at it about what it is, but I feel like not done right. It would just feel like WWE having like another episode of Raw on a Sunday where they just give the fans the opportunities to vote for who it is. Now, of course, if there's hype for each of the individual matches or choices that are on the list for what the fans choose for the matches and whatnot, then it's fine. But if you're gonna like have like something that's focused like a lot more on, I don't know, it's allowing the fans to try to put the story together, put the pieces of puzzle together. But sometimes, obviously, I feel like WWE may have its own direction they wanted to go. Like I think there was one year for Cyber Sunday, Big Show and Undertaker had the match, and they were kind of hyping up a little bit more because I think the choices were Last Man Standing, I think First Blood, and a knockout match. But they were kind of like making it pretty obvious that the Big Show was favoring the knockout match. But of course, it ended up being like a Last Man Standing, which again, it was being built up for like like a knockout match, basically. It felt like, but it was ended up being Last Man Standing. So, but that's the thing. But anyways, there's a little thing about Cyber Sunday, in my opinion. But bragging rights, why? Survivor Series, if it wasn't made Raw versus SmackDown every single year, then a bragging rights show would be all right. Of course, if there was actually stakes to it, though, like there's just see who's a better brand. Okay, cool, but what do they get in return? Watching this a bragging rights show is going to say, okay, who's the better brand? Like, why should we care? Who the better brand is if nobody's getting any anything out of it, or if it's going to get any award, any opportunities, what punishment would the losing brand get? I don't know. And it's like, especially since Survivor Series, since the brand split returned, well, then again, it could be ending again this year. Who the heck knows? But obviously, it's just like every year since Raw versus SmackDown. But why? And it's like they act like Raw and SmackDown aren't feuding with each other until just like those weeks. All of a sudden, they all hate each other. They respect each other. Like, oh, we all hate you now. We're gonna take over the show. I don't know. Makes no sense. And again, if you're gonna make a Raw versus SmackDown, just call Survivor Series bragging rights. Again, but so I don't know. And I don't know why WWE was, even though Survivor Series was completely Raw versus SmackDown the 2 years that they had bragging rights, still felt like the same show 2 months in a row. But yeah. So that's my opinion on bragging rights there at number 8. Number 7 is the pay-per-view that's going to be happening next month. WWE Stomping Grounds. Why? Like, what's the whole theme and idea behind this show? Like, it doesn't sound like anything, eye-catching. And Backlash was more eye-catching. Felt like a wrestling show. Stomping Grounds just, I don't know what the hell that sounds like. It just sounds like literally a name that like Vince just picked out of a hat, or I don't know, just something just like just something very lazy come up with. I don't like it. That's why number 7 is Stomping Grounds. I hope it will be a good show, but then again, with how bad Raw and somewhat SmackDown has been recently. Well, SmackDown's not been bad, but it's just been average, I feel, lately. But Raw has been, of course, horrible. But yeah, I don't care too much for the Stomping Grounds name. That's why I'm number 7 on this list. Number 6, Super Showdown. As I said with WrestleMania and whatnot, the biggest event of the year is supposed to be happening at WrestleMania. But of course, now since we're getting shows in Saudi Arabia and Australia, instead of just treating them as just admitting what they are, glorified house shows, WWE just hypes it up as some big event that everybody's going to want to come and see. It's basically a WrestleMania atmosphere, and we're given nothing but crap. We're basically given an episode of like Raw in front of 80,000 people, and that's not what people pay to see. And the thing is you can only have so many events each year that you go in there feeling, oh, this is going to be a monumental moment. I mean, any pay-per-view, a big moment can happen, whether WWE tries to make it happen or not. But the shows you want to make your best is the ones that have the biggest crowds, and WrestleMania is that only one. Yeah, you have Super Showdown that, you have people like Undertaker come back to wrestle. It's like Triple H or just Undertaker and Goldberg. Once again, it's people who don't really matter at all to this show right now, and it's not doing anything else for anyone's careers. I mean, yes, it's basically giving them a dream match, whatever. But with being featured as like the headline match, it's just like, okay, why? Like, why are we going to the other side of the world just to get millions of dollars just to put on a house show or an episode of Raw in front of 70,000 people? And I just think this name, Super Showdown, is just overhyped because it's not the best show of the year. It's one of the weakest shows of the year, I gotta say. And once again, because of course people aren't comfortable with going to that part of the world, I don't support it, and I am not going to be watching Super Showdown 2 next month at all. I will watch TakeOver 25. I will see about Stomping Grounds. We'll see. But sorry, not watching Super Showdown, not doing anything involved with it, and that's how it will be. But that is my number 6 for worst. So far, my worst list again is Roadblock End of the Line, The Bash, Bragging Rights, Stomping Grounds, and Super Showdown because it's overhyped. Live chat. We've got does anyone remember? Yeah, I read that one. I'm sorry. What's up? Brett Butler said Great Balls of Fire. I like to call it the trash as wrestling rampage call. Nice. The Bash sounds stupid. It does. It was an I Quit match, not First Blood match. Oh, my bad. Thank you for correcting that, Tyler. And what's up, Charlie Kelly? Thank you for joining us live here. But yeah, so that's my 10 to 6 for worst pay-per-view name. Let's get to my top 5. Number 5, the worst pay-per-view of 2018, in my opinion. Once again, overhyped because it's a big, out of the country event, which WWE is allowed to do that. But they hype it up as it's one of the bigger shows of the year when all they're going to produce is just a glorified house show because it's mostly matches that absolutely feel like they don't matter and you didn't need to watch them. Not that they all suck, it's just they're pointless. Nothing happens. Just WrestleMania 25 happening. I mean, WrestleMania 29 happening in several different other countries. And the name for this pay-per-view itself, of course, sounded so stupid. WWE Crown Jewel, as I always say, because Crown Jewel. Oh, we got to say the main event for Crown Jewel. We got this time, Crown Jewel, Crown Jewel, Crown Jewel. The whole world revolves around Crown Jewel. And it's just a stupid name for a pay-per-view. Oh, it's like it picked up like something, and it's like an item you picked up. Like, oh, let's pick up this. Well, this is my Harry Potter and Chamber of Secrets disc for my computer game. We'll be continuing that Let's Play, of course, much more closely with Adam Product Rabbit. Of course, just a cheap plug for that. It's like, oh, let's call it this pay-per-view computer disc, or let's call this next pay-per-view mug, or coffee mug, or let's call this next pay-per-view WWE Megaphone. Crown Jewel sounded like they literally just took a piece of jewelry and threw it together. It's the Crown Jewel. Surprised they didn't have a show near in India and called it, the the Maharaja Madness or something. I don't know. I don't even get any ideas, especially if there was a rumor of maybe giving Jinder Mahal another push on SmackDown Live. That's a stake in the corner of the cob, everybody. No, just kidding. Anyways, but yeah, WWE Crown Jewel. Not because I hated that show so much and the overhype for it, but once again, it looks like you can pick something up. WWE Nightlight or something. WWE map GPS, like greatest picture show. I don't know. It'll be something stupid. Again, WWE computer disc. I don't know. It's like, again, that's what Crown Jewel makes me think of when I hear that name. Besides the fact that one of the worst shows I've ever watched, but one of the worst shows WWE ever put together, basically just based off the results and things that happened on that show. But we're not going to talk about that. We're talking about just the names. But number 5 is WWE. One more time, is all for good old time's sake, Crown Jewel. And there's another Crown Jewel later this year. Not watching it. Capiche? Capiche. That's my number 4 for worst pay-per-view names. Oh, God. And that's number 5. I'm sorry. Number 5. Number 4, Night or Clash of Champions. Why are we calling this show Night of Champions or Clash of Champions whenever champions aren't fighting champions? We get that at Survivor Series and bragging rights. Okay, I get it. But what's the difference with having people defending their titles on a show when that's what we do in all the shows? Defend the champions. Whenever it's Night of Champions, whenever it could be people, okay, everybody's defending the titles. Like, what's the difference? Everybody defends the titles at Money in the Bank. People defend titles at WrestleMania. Why should Night of Champions feel any different for the champions? And Clash of Champions, of course, as well. It would make sense if the champions are actually gonna clash, but they're not. Whether it's the Raw and SmackDown champion or the WWE champion versus the Intercontinental champion. Like if the brand split's ending this year, why not make the October pay-per-view Clash of Champions, which is rumored to be, and have that when they merge the titles. It would make sense, but again, the concept behind it is just like, why call it that if it's no different than champions defending their pay-per-views on another show, But that's why it's one of my worst titles, Night of Champions or Clash of Champions. Sounds lazy. Number 3, you want to talk about lazy? Fatal 4-way. Aren't Fatal 4-way matches supposed to feel special? Why would you name a pay-per-view Fatal 4-way if you only have 2 Fatal 4-way matches? The rest of them are just one-on-ones. What are you going to do? Name it something, name a pay-per-view. It wouldn't surprise when they name a pay-per-view Triple Threat or name a pay-per-view One-on-One. It's just lazy. Fatal 4-way. And it sounds awkward also if you think about it. We're having a Fatal 4-way. Oh, we're having a 3-way, a 4-way. I don't know. I'm just getting ridiculous now. I'm just rambling off random shit. But, Fatal 4-way. Really? That's the best you can come up with. Just taking a not so gimmick match and make it into a pay-per-view. We have a new pay-per-view concept called Fatal 4-way. You can hear a pin drop. I'm sorry. When Bret Hart made that announcement in 2010, when he was the general manager, it's like you could absolutely hear a pin drop. It's like Fatal 4-way. Really? Luckily, it's only happened one time, and hopefully it will never happen again. Unless, Vince Wilgorn decided to bring back the XFL. Now it would say, you know what? I will go out a great idea. Why don't we bring back Fatal 4-way? But yeah, so that's my number 3, Fatal 4-way. Here is, of course, the biggest reason why I made this list. Number 2, any gimmick match pay-per-views. whether it's Elimination Chamber, Extreme Rules, Hell in a Cell, and I gotta kind of say tables, ladders, and chairs. It hurts the match. Is that the only time all year we're able to see that match happen? What if it's during a time of the year where no feuds are really being built up? Again, you can't just throw a Hell in a Cell match. Like, what, you're going to give Jinder Mahal and I don't know, Jinder Mahal and No Way Jose a Hell in a Cell match, and you think people will watch it? No. You want to give like a pay-per-view that, I mean, not pay-per-view, a feud that has like, that, blood feel to it, like Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins, or I don't know, Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker. Like Matt feuds like like Roman Reigns and Rusev didn't need to be inside Hell in a Cell, or like Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. Yes, they had a good Hell in a Cell match, but I didn't feel their feud needed to be inside Hell in a Cell. Yes, to stop Chris Jericho from interfering in the matches, and which one's he interfering? Every single one, man. When he, of course, he threw away the key of Jericho, lock it up, man, and whatnot. But Money in the Bank kind of falls in this because, why do we have to have a separate show for Money in the Bank? But I guess it could be as forgiven because, it happens once a year. Same with Royal Rumble. Yes, it happens once a year. It's the name of a match, but still. Elimination Chamber, you don't have to have an Elimination Chamber match at one certain pay-per-view each year, even though it's a little more forgiving there, too, because it's really, a good, well, since we have Fastlane now, it's a good, last opportunity for multiple people to get like the big spot at WrestleMania besides, the Royal Rumble. It's like a second chance thing. So I can get that one, but they could still just call it No Way Out, not Elimination Chamber. But like people show like, Extreme Rules, like I said, should be called Bad Blood. TLC, maybe TLC can be Unforgiven. I mean, I'm sorry, No Mercy, because you're more use of weapons. Again, like Bad Blood would be like, Extreme Rules. Unforgiven, I still feel fits Hell in a Cell. Just my opinion with that as well. And like No Way Out again for Elimination Chamber. But again, like it just takes away the value. Because like, again, last year we had Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax have an Extreme Rules match. We wasted the Extreme Rules match on Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax. Cut me a break. I think it should have maybe at least had like Braun Strowman and Kevin Owens. It was a steel cage match, but make that Extreme Rules or something. I don't know. Have Braun Strowman beat the shit out of Kevin Owens. I don't know. You were making him look like a joke anyways, or I don't know. What else could you have done there? I mean, if you would have done the at first I thought they were supposed to be doing first a 6-pack challenge, but they got changed just to Roman and Bobby, which again that match meant nothing because Bobby won, but the following week Roman won. He got the opportunity for the championship, which made no sense at all whatsoever. But again, like you can't just throw those matches onto someone. Like this year, I want the Extreme Rules match to be Miz and Shane McMahon. I really think that would work for their people. No, they'll probably give it to who knows. They'll probably make the rumored 2-on-1 handicap match with Roman taking on Elias and Shane. They'll probably make that a 2-on-1 handicap Extreme Rules match. I can bet you any money that's going to happen. Not Miz and Shane getting extreme, but whatnot. But gimmick pay-per-views are just absolutely stupid to have because they bring it down once again. The pay-per-view comes and you have to have that gimmick match. Once again, it may not fit any views going on at that time. But WWE will just pick one out. Last year was Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax. Dear God. Oh, dear God, that was not a good match. But that is my number 2. Number 1. It's got to be one of the most immature names and immature, looking logos I thought as well. Again, Vince McMahon worries about, the word war being said on live TV. Hell, he makes a big deal how you can't say briefcase, belt, or all this stuff. What about Great Balls of Fire? And not just that, not just Great Balls of Fire, but your logo itself looks like a big, giant, fiery... Can't say it. But I know they're trying to use like the Jerry Springer record was called "Goodness Gracious, Great Balls of Fire" like show or something like that that happened ages ago that I don't really know too much about. They're kind of based off of that. I get it, but still, it's just like the name itself just sounds getting lazy. It sounds weird. It sounds immature, and with a guy who seemingly based his whole show around him as the only member of the audience. It's like you gotta turn your hand. And people were right saying this in the live chat. This was a good show. I did enjoy Great Balls of Fire in 2017. Maybe like one or two matches I didn't really care too much for, but Great Balls of Fire again was a good pay-per-view for sure. But the name itself, oh gosh, don't ever come back again. Like that's just a one-time deal. We don't need another round of goodness gracious WWE Great Balls of Fire and just that suggestive looking logo. Like, my gosh, it still gives me nightmares thinking about it. And also for months we're doing hashtag WWE balls trending on Twitter. It sounded weird, but that's what happened. But guys, those are my lists. Again, we had some people join us in the live chat. I'll go over both the lists again. Number 10 for best pay-per-view names. We have Backlash, No Mercy, Vengeance, No Way Out, Unforgiven, Judgment Day, Armageddon. My top three were Bad Blood at number 3. Number 2 is SummerSlam. Number 1 is WrestleMania. For worst top 10, Roadblock, End of the Line, The Bash, Bragging Rights, Stomping Grounds, Super Showdown, Crown Jewel, Night or Clash of Champions, Fatal 4-Way, any gimmick match pay-per-view, and WWE Great Balls of Fire. That, my friends, is my top 10 best and worst pay-per-view names of all time. Before I check the live chat again, I will try to do next week. I'll try to do Tyler's idea. I just need to get a more concrete list together of best and worst WWE Championship feuds for sure, because that's actually a very challenging but a very interesting choice for that for a topic. Again, later on tonight, I'm going to try to do a baseball live stream, just talk a little bit of baseball, so I haven't talked any baseball before on this channel. I expect within the next day or so, probably the last batch of my baseball players be uploaded. And then I promise for a while, I'm not going to really upload any baseball highlights videos, so I'm going to get all the players retired first, because if I just do one season at a time, it'll be like 40 players each season I'm going to have to make highlights for, and they take a while. This batch, on top of everything else I've done, took 7 months for me to do. So I'm going to wait till all my players are retired, and then I'll start making the highlight videos again, like, whenever I want again. Nobody don't feel like I have now, stopping, everything else to do on this channel. But the last two levels of Adam Project coming soon, and we'll just, for video games, just focus on the Harry Potter Chamber of Secrets Let's Play. But then I'm also soon going to do the NXT pay-per-view retro reviews as well for all NXT pay-per-views I either haven't seen or have seen but I haven't reviewed on this channel. Those are the only ones I will watch again right now. I mean, of course, other ones I would love to go back and watch again, but we're going to do just those. And then again, we'll see what else happens again. Hoping this summer I finally land a better job, and then after that, I might make some changes to the channel. But definitely I'm going to try to tone it back a little bit. I mean, I'm still doing all my live reviews and whatnot during the week right now for now, unless the product really burns me out even more than it has recently. But for now, wrestling's not saying the same, but other content on my channel I'm probably going to tone back with a little bit once I finish up some of the stuff that I'm doing right now besides my wrestling videos. But yeah, there will be a Major League Baseball special stream coming tonight. Also, I want to talk about some surprise teams I want to talk about. But let me get my list together for that. And if you guys want to come in and hear me chat some baseball, feel free to do so. If not, no worries. Check the live chat again. See what we got here. Charlie Kelly, what do you think about Bray Wyatt offering to be a third member of the Shield? I did see those tweets he was sending to Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. Interesting enough, because I do think that does play into his character that he recently showed. He's trying to show he's he is much better of a man than he claims to be. But with him showing that little secret of his, can he be as trustworthy as it is? How know he's going to be some guy that kids can rely on, and all of a sudden he's just some creep. Basically, not saying creep in a bad way, but just like he's some spooky man that you don't want to be messing around with or something like that. Not sure what to trust. So I feel like those tweets do play into his character. So Bray Wyatt part of the Shield? Interesting. But of course, we'll see what happens. It could, of course, set to the rumored match we want to see at SummerSlam, which is Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt. I mean, again, they had a good match at goodness gracious, Great Balls of Fire, and one of the Raws after Great Balls of Fire. Which again, the matches they had weren't bad, but of course there was no story in that feud at all. It was just a pushover feud to give Bray Wyatt something to do until he feuded with Finn Balor. But yeah, so that's the bad thing to mention. Charlie, Backlash should be the pay-per-view at WrestleMania, quite possibly. Yes, should be. Night or Clash is an okay name. It's an okay name if they'll just use the concept right, I feel. Not just act like it's just another normal pay-per-view. I think Super Showdown was the best pay-per-view name because all rivalries took place at that event. That is somewhat true, but once again, just the environment around it, it's just like, why have it be Super Showdown? This is going to be just a glorified house show. But, good point there, though, Charlie. Fatal 4 was one of the worst pay-per-view names that they ever named. The only reason why they named that was because they couldn't think of anything else to name it. That is true. Another honorable mention I want to throw out there also, Capital Punishment. In between that one, because I didn't like, the concept behind with being like a politically based, pay-per-view. It looked like just an episode of Raw or whatnot. I mean, the name itself, Capital Punishment, sounds interesting because, the book Capital Punishment, but yeah, that's probably just a one-time deal too. So I wanted to throw that out now for an honorable mention. Worst is Fastlane. Don't like the name. Don't like that it's between Rumble and Mania for sure also, especially since this year they did two of them. But this year's Fastlane pay-per-view was actually pretty good. Name itself, I would lean a little more towards one of the worst though for sure. Can you do best and worst themes? Are you talking about theme songs or just best themes for pay-per-views, Charlie? But that wouldn't be, whichever one it is, wouldn't be a good idea, but just specify that as well. And then Tyler also said best Survivor Series. Yes, Survivor Series is okay. I mean, it's a good name. It's not one of my favorite shows because the concept has been kind of like, inconsistent. It always feels like one of the weaker top 4 pay-per-views, in my opinion, usually. Because, one year it's either, hitting out of the ballpark where it's having 5-on-5 elimination matches for stuff that actually matters, such as, Team Cena versus Team Authority, a really great, build, really great match for Survivor Series for sure. Then you have years where it's just like, just two random people just thrown together a team and just for a 5-on-5 elimination match. It's just like, it's an inconsistent show, I think. Let's see here. What's up, Dakota? And yes, I heard about Ashley Mazzaro. I didn't hear all the details, but Ashley Mazzaro apparently passed away yesterday at the age of 39. I'm pretty sure there'll be some type of tribute videos for her as well too. But thank you for mentioning that as well, Dakota. I actually have already done theme songs, though, Charlie. But thank you for the suggestion. Last year's Fastlane, he thought was the best one. Well, this year's Fastlane I thought was the best. 2018's. Was okay. The build was not good, but the show itself was okay. I felt it was an okay show. I think the worst Fastlane was either 2016 or 2017, though, in my opinion. Probably 2016's I thought was the worst Fastlane, in my opinion. Jon Moxley coming to WWE. Don't know if that's happening or not, but all right. But yeah, I'm going to check out here, guys. I'll be back up here in a couple hours to maybe talk some baseball and whatnot. Just because I haven't really talked any baseball in here for a while, but I'll do that in a couple hours. But guys, thank you for joining me live for my top 10 best and worst pay-per-view names. Next week will be the best and worst feuds for the world titles that Tyler suggested. I just didn't get a strong list together yet for that one, but I've had this one for a while that I wanted to do. But guys, once again, what are your favorite and least favorite pay-per-view names that WWE has used over the years? And even if you know more like WCW, ECW, even TNA, again, I've only watched WWE so far, so I can't really say anything for WCW and ECW. So if you have any other brands that you use pay-per-view names for, do you like or dislike, you can leave those thoughts down in the comment section below. Leave a video response as well. And please sure always to slap a like on my videos, subscribe more content to come to my channel, and follow me on Twitter as well at DemandAirborne93. Also, make sure to check out my WrestleMania Experience documentary down in the description box down below. And with that, guys, I will see you all later. So until then, guys, Have a great rest of your night. I'll see you guys, tonight if you join me for my baseball stream, and we'll talk some baseball there. So, guys, have a great night. Peace out, everybody.